Thanks for joining us. Town Hall, informal. I'm just going to be taking questions on kind of variety of topics, whatever comes to mind. If you have a question, drop it in the chat. We will get to it at the end. Pretty simple. And then since you guys are in person, I don't know, think of it, raise a hand. I don't know, figure something out. All right, cool. This is what we're going to cover today. We're going to go over what we did last year in 2024. We're going to go over our purpose. This is sort of some just bigger picture stuff that we've never actually, it's something that I've thought of and we've thought of. We've never actually had the discipline of writing it down and sharing it. So we took the time to actually do that. So we're going to share our purpose, why we even exist, our core values, our niche, our strategy to earn business in the market, updates to our program, goals for the company, extracurricular opportunities for all of you, and then Q&A lastly. Can you guys hear me okay virtually? Can we get like a thumbs up? I know everyone's muted, but okay, cool. Thank you, I appreciate that. Mo Khan, good to see you. Raising that hand in there. All right. Good to see some people I haven't spoken to in a little while drop in the chat. All right, so 2024, this is what we did. We qualified 741 scenarios. And at Central Lending, we take this number very seriously. It's not just a file that gets submitted and then maybe underwriting kills it or maybe underwriting approves it. A qualified loan means actually scrutinize the deal up front because we want to avoid hiccups in the closing process. This is a key differentiator between us and a lot of the other companies that are out there. We take screening very seriously. If we don't screen well, it creates frustration for the borrower, it creates frustration for our processing team, and all around, it's just not good if we don't screen well. Having said that, we closed 391, so there's some slippage there. That's about 55-ish%. So the 45% of loans that got qualified but didn't close, you got to ask yourself why. Something I'd like to do a little better this year is tracking that a little bit closer. And anecdotally, I feel like it's a third the seller having an issue, like a title issue where they can't sell, or them just not being cooperative, signing the loan doc, signing the deed, seller backing out. I feel like it's a third the buyer backing out because of due diligence, maybe the rehab budget's more than they thought, maybe they changed their mind, whatever. And then a third of it is probably us, right? Us in due diligence, discovering something that we didn't know when we were screening the deal. So maybe a background issue wasn't disclosed to us, or the experience was not what we thought it was. So I feel like it's a third, but that's not based on any data. That's based on me guessing. And so I'd like to get a little sharper there this year. All that to say, we closed 391 loans for just over $72 million. So, really proud of the team. That's a new record for our company. And this is a lot different than, it's one thing to originate that, but to actually do the due diligence, fund all those deals, trade them on capital markets, service those loans, that's really a different type of animal. And I'm really proud of everyone that's contributed to that. We're starting to track more KPIs in capital raising. This is the first number that we track, which is private capital managed. So this is all of the different limited partners that have contributed money to us that we lend out. And this does not include the fourth quarter. And a lot of capital came in the fourth quarter. This is third quarter only, about $12 million of private capital that we manage. And that's the capital that we can go out and fund deals with. This is a very important KPI for our company. The higher this number gets, the more deals we can fund. And if you look at it closer to today, it's closer, it's almost 15 million, but we're still waiting on November, December financials, some true ups on reinvested earnings, that sort of stuff. So the true number is closer to 15, but this is a hard number at the close of the third quarter, and it's an accurate number as of that date. The second number we're tracking in capital raising is AUM. That's assets under management. So the reason AUM is different than invested capital managed is because assets under management includes all the assets that one of our funds owns. So basically you're including leverage. So with that being said, our AUM, based on our most recent financials, was just over 24 million. So that all the loans we own, less the, on our balance sheet, less the construction draws on those loans, adding in real estate, less debt on real estate that we own, and then adding in cash balances. So that's our AUM today. Well, not today, but based on most recent financials. Again, it's lagging about a month or two, so it's actually a little bit higher, but this is the most recent number we're able to measure. The third number we're measuring in capital raising is our servicing portfolio. So this is the size of the portfolio that our team is servicing. And this includes loans that we don't own. So it includes some loans that we own on our balance sheet, but it also includes loans that we've sold, servicing retained, that we're still servicing on behalf of the new investor that owns that loan. And this total as of the, and this is a precise total as of the close of 2024, 63 million. A lot of work goes into servicing those loans, and we're doing our best to keep up with it and mitigate losses and get payoffs done, extensions done, draws done, payments collected, applied correctly, all that stuff. For the history of our company, we've had 750 or so loans complete their life cycle. And there's three ways that I believe a loan can be completed. You can either get your principal back that you lent out, which is the gray result. You can have a short sale, which is we agree to take less back than what we lent out. And that's in orange. That's happened 4 times. Or you can get a property back, and that's in red. So you can see of all of the loans that have completed their life cycle, this is the breakdown of our bridge loan portfolio. Now that's of loans that have completed their life cycle. These are loans that are still active, okay? So this is as of the end of 2024. So green is going to be our current loans. We've got 57 people, many of you on the call, by the way, that are paying us on time, that are in the green. Thank you very much. We appreciate you guys. I don't know if anyone on the call is in default, but if you guys are, please communicate with us and get out of the penalty box, okay? You can kind of see the breakdown of course, most of our loans are current, but there are some issues in there that we're trying to clean up and mitigate losses on. And we track these buckets. We track current loans, we track matured within the last 30 days. We track matured between 1 and 2 months ago, and then matured over 2 months ago. And you can see of the distress bucket, loans that matured over 2 months ago, we got over 3 million there. So we're focused on mitigating losses within that distress bucket. We do a lot of work behind the scenes to preserve those properties, make sure they're insured, make sure taxes are paid, and so on and so forth. You can see we have a late bucket, so late less than 30 days. Late 30 to 60 days, we actually track that, but it looks like we don't have any right now, so that's good. And then late over 60 days. And then special default means they're default under special circumstances. So these are the different statuses that we track, broken down by percentage to see what it looks like. So over 91% current loans, happy to see that that's trended in a pretty good direction. Throughout last year, it was kind of high 80s into the 90s. Obviously, higher the better. If someone tells you they're at 100%, they're probably lying to you, okay? These loans don't always go as planned. What the loan servicing team does is they try to take the 8% that's not performing and find a way to end with a result that's great, right? We're trying to get our principal back. Maybe we'll waive some default interest. Maybe we have to tell a borrower to list that property. Heck, I've even called realtors on the borrower's behalf and just send them a listing agreement. I mean, whatever we got to do. We might even defer an extension fee or something like that if times are tough. So we do whatever we can to preserve our principal. That's the first priority. Now, obviously, some deals we can't save. Some deals turn into REO and some deals turn into short sales, but we do the best we can at turning the non-green into gray, essentially. All right, I'll take you back in a All right, so cool. That's what we do kind of in the past. This is where we're at now. This is our purpose. I think it's something that we all know to be true, but it was never written out. It took a long time we looked up how long the purpose should be, and it was like 5 to 7 words. It's actually very hard to condense everything you do and why you exist to 7 words. So we had to choose our words carefully. And this is what we came up with. So if you guys ever wonder why you're here, why does central lending exist? If you're a borrower on the call and you're wondering, why the heck do I need to talk to these guys? What do they have to offer that, this other shop doesn't? This is really why we exist. We are reliable, and we take that very seriously. If we say we're going to fund a deal, we do it. We don't screw around. We don't really make mistakes on that. We take closing dates seriously. Private capital speaks to capital markets. We are backed by private investors, okay? Investors that have put hard-earned saving money and entrusted it with us to make good loan decisions with. And we provide that capital for real estate investors. So we don't lend to owner occupants. We don't flirt with Dodd-Frank. We don't take someone that was going FHA and tell them that if they buy their deal in an LLC, everything's going to be okay. We don't really mess with that stuff. There are shops that do that and look the other way. We do not. Okay, we run a pretty clean shop. This is why we exist. This is our purpose. We also took the time of drafting some of our values. This is something that, again, it's kind of been thought of, it's been spoken on, but it's never really been put into writing. We took the time, and this is the whole leadership team, right? Not just me. We took the time of actually drafting this stuff out. So we got a couple on here. So bear with me if you're not like a feely person. I'm not either, but I think it's worth it. I really do. These things are important. So the first one is be better than yesterday. And when I think of, let me just get to it. Our team is made up of driven individuals who thrive to improve themselves on a daily basis. This one speaks to our company improving as all of you improve. We've obviously made a lot of hiring decisions at various times based on where you were at and where we were at that time. But we want to keep growing, and we want you to grow as well. And we think if you guys get stronger, we're going to benefit as an organization. So we don't want you to stay where you're at the day we hired you. We want you to keep progressing with the company. That speaks to that. Second one is act. This one is a big one for me. This is big on initiative, not waiting. We're a small company. Sometimes we don't have the perfect SOP written out or the perfect person for the one thing. If you just if you're unsure of who's supposed to do something, just acting on it is usually you want to be default aggressive. Okay. Initiative is extremely important to this company. Third one, this is success through innovation. So I probably drive most of you crazy, at least once a month. Some change that we're doing, some new software that we're rolling out. It may or may not even work. That's the tough part. So the fact that you guys are able to roll with the punches of a very quickly developing company is extremely important to us, and it's not lost on me how difficult that can be to deal with. If you can embrace changes with flexibility and resilience, it speaks to who you are and how well you're going to work with us as we continue to grow this thing. Relationships. We prioritize trust, collaboration, and respect to build lasting connections. And this speaks to, even though we're using AI and all these other software tools to get more efficient, at the end of the day, we're in the people business. We're lending to people. We have people conducting the AI, and we have people behind the software looking at the loan documents. So at the end of the day, we have to also include the relationships as well as the technology. And then lastly, ethics over everything. Obviously in private capital, that's going to be very important. We're going to do what's right even when it's difficult, even when no one's looking over our shoulder. And I think that should be obvious, but it's in writing now. Okay, so what is our niche? What makes us like kind of a little different? Where are we kind of unique a little bit? I would say our first niche is that we are truly private capital backed, right? I can tell you that when COVID kind of put all the lenders out of the market for about 3 months, I never missed a single funding, and that's because we're private capital backed. It also gives us more control over our capital and what we will and won't fund. The fast closings are definitely a niche. The idea that we can use someone else's appraisal, do our own eval on it, and turn around a close in 3 days just speaks to the talent we have at Central Lending. We're able to look at non-traditional deals. Now we're not, if we're doing a deal that's not traditional though, we also intellectually we understand it's non-traditional, so we might cut leverage or we might increase price, but we do try to plug the market where it's inefficient and where we don't take a risk. So we don't have a minimum loan amount. This has always been like a pet peeve of mine. Why can I go to 1-800 fund my flip and I got 800 credit, I've done 36 flips, and because my loan request is $99,999, they can't do it. But if my request is 100,000, now they can do it. So this has always kind of struck me as crazy. We don't have a loan minimum at Central Lending. So if you want to borrow $58,000 for your fix and flip, that's fine by me. That's actually a niche in this market. We do look at rural properties. This is another niche. We do cut leverage because I find that those deals are not very competitive. So we can give a much lower advance. We can protect our investor capital, but we do plug the market on rural properties. Apartments, we do fund apartment deals. So 5+. Matter of fact, I got a text 30 minutes ago about an apartment deal that we're going to be looking at. We're getting a lot of those 5 to 20 unit apartment deals in those BC areas that still cash flow at today's rates. So that's a nice niche that we've been able to plug. And then the last thing that we fund that a lot of other shops have trouble with is the small purchase high rehab. So the 30K purchase, 60K rehab. That's a tough deal to fund in the market. We understand that, and we've been able to plug that gap, and without taking without putting too much investor capital at risk. So obviously, if we're doing deals that other lenders aren't, we have to ask ourselves why. Are we the only idiot in the room that's willing to fund this stuff, or are we properly mitigating our risk and protecting investor capital? So this stuff keeps me up at night. Hope you guys trust me to make the right decisions. And then obviously our relationship-driven approach. So, you know, you're not talking to a robot, or maybe you will at the start, but eventually you'll talk to a person. They're going to go through your deal. They're going to understand the nuance more than a machine will. There's other lenders in the market that will look at your credit profile and they'll give you an algorithm-based decision, pass or fail. We have more of a relationship-driven approach. We believe in what's called storybook lending, even in 2025. As crazy as that sounds, we're still going to pick up the phone and talk to you in 2025. So, you know, if my value comes in a little short, but I can call you on the phone and you can talk me through your deal, you can explain how the pool cage in your market means this because of that. If you really understand your deal at a high level, at a nuanced level, we're going to be able to work through a lot of friction points that other lenders can't do. And that speaks to kind of our size and how nimble we are. And then lastly, we offer flexibility for repeat borrowers and VIPs. So if you're someone that's paid us off multiple times, we move the earth and we roll out the red carpet for you guys. We don't just stick you through an algorithm and hope it works out for the best. So when you think about our niche, what's our special sauce? What makes us different? I think this is a good summary. This is our strategy, how we present ourselves to the world. We are looking for real estate investors, right? Fix and flip, ground up, and rentals. So if you're building a gas station, we're not a fit for you. You know, if you're doing a syndication for a $15 million project, we're not the lender for that. We're looking for these, you know, bite-sized, small balance properties. And that's what I call traditional housing. Traditional housing is typically that 1 to 10 unit size. And the properties are typically in that $100,000 to $1 million range. This is really our sweet spot. This is what we focus on finding. This is where we're extremely comfortable and very competitive. And geographically, we're in the Southeast and the Midwest. Those are our core markets. Those are the markets we really understand. Now you might ask yourself what makes us different. And this, we took the time of writing this down as well. It's also on the website, by the way. What makes us different than the other lender I can go with? It's the upfront screening. It's the approval up front that you're not going to get a decline 3 weeks into underwriting over a technicality. We don't do any of that stuff. Now, if you withhold a key piece of information, right, if you have 17 felonies from 4 years ago and you omit that piece of information, we're going to have an issue with that. But if you present the loan accurately, we give you a decision the first day and we always follow through. We do not make mistakes. That is a real differentiator between us and almost every other lender that I know of. There's a few other lenders who do a good job of this, but most of the market is pretty bad when it comes to screening deals up front and executing, you know, on time and accurate. Obviously the C piece, you know, we've turned around a clear close in 1 day, but that's a stretch. Please don't ask for that. 2 days is, you know, kind of what I would call like that's certainly a rush. It's certainly uncomfortable, but it's doable. Okay. And then without the appraisal, we order the richer values hybrid valuation. And then speaking to the repeat borrowers and VIPs, if you have a fast deal, again, I can work up an internal evaluation if I have to. I've done 100 of my own spec builds and fix and flips. So, you know, we're able to kind of underwrite the deal alongside you, just to make sure we understand what you're looking at. And then lastly, the in-house piece, right? So you're welcome to come to our office. That's where I'm standing today. You can meet our team. We've got a great in-house team. We do our own draws, our own closing. You know, we've got our own wire room here. Everything is in-house. Each department, the door is one hallway away from the other department, so we work really well together as a team. And you guys will feel that when we partner with you as your lender. Proven process. Again, hitting on the qualifying the deal up front. We're not going to have those challenges that other lenders have if we really do a good job of being diligent up front and reviewing that deal. I know it can be painful at times to have to sit in a deal call at 1:30, we do this every day at 1:30 for an hour. And it might be painful to wait 40 minutes to talk about your deal, but I think it pays off in the long run because we don't move up garbage and, throw spaghetti against the wall. This one's kind of funny. If I don't close on time, I'm going to cover your origination fee with a key disclaimer. I need your docs 1 business day ahead of time. Okay. So I'm going to start putting this guarantee on social media. I have a little Red Bull in my veins again.
Something for the nerves.
Oh man. All right. Some program updates. We have a couple of changes to announce. So I think we've teased a few of these privately, but this is the official announcement. See, we got the frowny face to kind of just let everyone know that maybe these aren't what you want to hear, but they are changes. Okay, we're adding Philadelphia to restricted markets. We're having performance issues in Philadelphia. So if you look at our graph of the 92% of performing loans and the 8% of non-performing, there's some Philly in there. So Philadelphia is alongside Detroit, Chicago, Baltimore. If you have a deal to submit there, it better be strong. It's going to have that 5% leverage hit from now on. Also, we're going to be increasing price of the loans, par price. If you are doing a ground up and you have only one ground up in your past, it is now going to be a more expensive loan. Okay, same thing with additions. So I'm willing to work with you if you're doing an addition and you got 3 rentals and you got 5 flips and you're doing your first addition and first ground up. I'm willing to work with you pending your GC is strong, but it is going to be more expensive. I think we've been giving away capital here too cheaply. We're going to be increasing our rates here, or not rate, but price. Same thing, sort of. Rural and partially rural, you're going to see a price adjustment there. Those are going to become more expensive loans. And then lastly, if you're in a restricted market, those loans are now going to be more expensive. So not only are you getting the leverage hit in Philadelphia, if you're in any one of the 4 restricted markets, those loans are going to be more expensive than they are today. Okay, that's the frowny face. Now for the thumbs up, the good news. Okay, I didn't want to just do bad changes. We're reducing our base rate. So that's as effective of effective January 1st. So 11.49 down to 10.99. I've had some good calls with capital markets, just kind of seeing where things are at, kind of evaluating the market at large and seeing the other options that are out there. We're going to get more competitive on our interest rate. Keep in mind, this might go up next quarter, might go down next quarter. But it is a change, it is impactful, and today rates are down. We've updated our sizer to include lender paid comp and borrower paid comp on BSC. So if you want to offer 0 origination to a borrower, you can. And you can make money on that. And we have the flexibility to cover both sides. Of course, any questions about the mechanics of how that works we can discuss in sales training. Another change we made is the remote borrower column. So we used to cut leverage 5% every time the borrower lived 100 miles away from the property. I felt like that was the right sort of direction to go because we were having performance with remote borrowers. However, I think we can be a little more precise here. I think we were pricing out the wrong kind of deals. So we sort of modified this a little bit. So we've renamed the remote borrower column to foreign national. So if you're a foreign national, you're still getting the 5% leverage hit. However, just because you live 200 miles from the property, you're not automatically getting a leverage hit if you're a US citizen, okay? So what does that look like? We've created a local market experience column. And this was sort of intended to do what the remote borrower column was intended to do. It's a little more precise though. We're not measuring distance from subject property to primary residence of the closest guarantor. That was the old test. And while I think that that's an important data point, I think this is more important. So this is going to take the place of that. So the local market experience column is going to tell us, does this investor have experience in the same market of the subject property? So if you've got 5 rentals in New York and you're buying your first Airbnb in Florida, to us, that's still somewhat of a concern. We want to understand that you can get through the deal in a different market than what you're used to. So this will speak to that. And the idea is to replace the remote borrower column and to be a little bit more precise. So we want to open up leverage for the right kind of borrowers that are remote, but keep investor capital safe for the wrong type of deals. So what that means is borrowers with local market experience that's experienced within 100 miles of the subject property avoid a leverage hit. So I'm not looking at the primary residence of the closest guarantor and matching it to the location of subject property and checking for 100 miles. Now I'm looking at the track record spreadsheet and seeing if anything is within 100 miles of the subject. So it's a different test, okay? Everybody's with me on that, I hope, and if you're not, throw a question in there. This is a good change, I believe. I believe it will make us more competitive for the right type of risk. And these updates have already been made throughout our software ecosystem. So they're live now. If you do not have experience in the local market, you'll get a 5% leverage hit. Kind of like how it was in the old days. Okay, a couple examples. Example scenario number 1. We got a borrower with a primary residence in New York, a one guarantor LLC. They're doing their first deal in Florida, okay? But they've done 2 flips in New York and they own 2 rentals. Oh, no, 4 rentals in New York. I just made that up. Okay. 4 rentals in New York, but they're doing their first deal in Florida. Maybe I shouldn't give an answer. Yes or no? Do they have local market experience? No. So there's a 5% hit for that. Now, keep in mind, guys, these are still high leverage loans. So you might be talking about 85% versus 90 or 80 versus 85 or 82.5 versus 87.5. So it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean we won't do it. It just means we're more selective with our advance rate. Okay? Example, outcome. As a result, the leverage hit 5% applies. All right, example scenario number 2. All right, another borrower based in New York. They're doing their second deal in Florida. They're in the 3 to 5 tier of experience. They got 3 rental properties in New York and 1 rental property in Florida. What do we think? Remote borrower or local market experience, yes or no? Yes. Yes. Absolutely. All right, nailed it. It's very simple, yes or no, only takes 1 deal. But it has to be a completed deal. It can't be like I bought a flip last month and I think it's going to work out, okay? Goals. We took the time of actually drafting our company goals. This is another thing that, you know, we had to take ownership of as a team. And we, you know, you guys don't know our goals if we don't tell you. So we've taken the time of sort of drafting this out, following the EOS process. 10-year goals. We want to manage $1 billion in investor capital, $1 billion. Might be a little broad or audacious, but it's a goal, right? Brick and mortar presence. We'd like to have 3 physical office locations in our core markets. Right now we have 1. The idea that we could pick up 2 more in 10 years, I think is very reasonable to help us support local efforts in those markets. And then third goal is something that's always interested me is having a fund of funds. I would like to one day have a fund of funds that invests in our family of funds. Currently we have 3, but also I'd like to be able to invest in some of our operators. Some of the people we lend to do syndications and very, very interesting deals. They have a great track record with it. And we really can't support them with the way with the way everything's set up, unless we lend to them, of course. So I'd like to be able to, this is a big picture thing. This isn't, next year, 2 years, even 3 years out. This is literally a decade is a long time, right? 10-year goal. I'd like to be able to support other operators as a limited partner on a more significant basis. That's a long-term goal. And again, these might change in 2-3 years. Our 10-year goal can change year over year. But you ask me today, this is what it is. 3-year. So this is kind of a big, outlandish way in the future. This is more real. 3-year goals. Okay. This is like, hey, 3 years isn't a very long time. So for 3 years, we can actually put KPIs together, and we have a pretty good idea of what they need to do. Not exact, because the market changes a little bit, but we have a pretty good idea of what it's going to take to hit these numbers. So loan volume, we're looking for 500 million in annual loan volume in 3 years. So that means in the year 2027, we would do $500 million in loan originations. To do $500 million in loan originations, we estimate that with our average deal size today at 200,000, but with some, with the market, appreciating and maybe us doing bigger deals, maybe our average deal goes like 250, it's 2,000 units. Qualified loans, if we just do a 2-to-1 on qualified to closing, that's 4,000 qualified units. If we do a 6-to-1 on quoted to qualified, that means we have to quote 24,000 units. The portfolio, the active servicing portfolio, the portfolio that the servicing team works very hard to manage, we predict that that'll be around $400 million. With the current runoff rate of how quickly loans pay off, how quickly they're originated. This is 3 years out, right? It's an educated guess, but it's not. We might look back at this in 2027 and go, what the heck were they thinking? Maybe. AUM, we think 150 million is attainable in 3 years. That's our total assets under management. And then private capital managed, 50 million in 3 years. And of course, this means we have 3x leverage on the private capital we manage to buy assets. So those are 3-year numbers, all KPIs, all very trackable, measurable, all stretch goals, but attainable. We didn't throw this on here because we didn't think we could make it, but it is going to be a challenge. Some well, I shouldn't say non-number goals. Sorry, number goals too. We think to do 2,000 closing units, our processing team is going to need to be probably double digits. And a lot can change in 3 years. Maybe we have more systems, more technology, whatever. But at the end of the day, there's a human at some level doing stuff. We think we're going to need it to 10. Servicing, same thing. We think that we're going to have to get to about 10. Capital team. We think currently there's 2 in that department. We think we're going to need to be closer to 5 in 3 years. Some strategic initiatives for a 3-year window. We want to host larger scale events. This is something that we're going to start doing this year, but we want to get really good at it over the next couple of years. And we think our events 3 years from now are going to be a lot bigger than our events this year. And then we want to establish a satellite office in the Pacific Northwest, an owner-occupied satellite office. And we want to emphasize stronger use of technology, including AI advancements. So, you know, humans are important. You guys are all important, but we're not totally with our head in the sand. The technology is coming at us very fast, and we have to have our head on a swivel and see what's out there and stay relevant and stay competitive. So we have to use some of the new technology that's coming in to be able to survive. I truly believe that. Otherwise, we're going to get eviscerated from the market just because we can't be competitive. Maybe our fees are going to be too high to support whatever outdated systems we're using. So we're going to have to get really sharp here to survive. I really believe that. So that's a 3-year goal. 1-year goals. So 3 years, we still got a little bit of time, right? That's like, yeah. 1 year, a year goes by fast. Loan volume, 150. I think that's doable. It's basically a 2x. Closing units, we're looking at 750 closing units. Qualified loans, 1,500. Using that 2-to-1 ratio, and currently we're closing better than 2-to-1, but it's close, just a round number. Quoted units, using a 6-to-1 ratio, we need to quote about 9,000 units to close 750. We predict that at the end of this year, we're going to have 125 million loans that we are servicing. So what does that look like? What does that team look like? What do the problems look like at that level? I want to be thinking about that before it happens, okay, so we can plan for the future. AUM, our AUM we predict will end the year at 50 million, and investor capital managed, we predict we will end the year at about 25 million in private capital managed. So these are our KPIs for the year. Non-KPI goals, we want to do a much better job with our website, being able to facilitate repeat transactions from borrowers. We want you guys to be able to log in, submit your deal, upload your contract, understand your pricing, and start getting stuff in and understand where your loan is asked without having to go back and forth on 86 emails, okay? It's a lot harder to do that than you probably think it is, but it's doable. So this is a 1-year goal, is to get a lot better with the website experience, the way it is to turn in repeat deal after repeat deal. Similarly, on the capital raising side, we want our private capital side to have its own website and to be running like a well-oiled machine as well. So both sides running very smoothly. I think today it's a little bit too manual, I would say. The investor events, we're doing an investor summit this year. We might do one later in the year as well, in a different state, in a different region. Yeah, we want to strengthen those relationships, get to know you guys. We're going to, instead of spending money on these like conferences and all that kind of stuff, I think we're just going to do some events and have fun with it at the end of the day. And then you'll see a new position on our org chart. We're looking to hire an internal accountant. Right now, it's kind of been everyone helping out the third-party administrator and usually Karen, you know, but sort of Karen getting pieces of data from different people and then feeding it to our fund admin or feeding it to the accountant. And so we're looking for someone to just literally, it's a full-time job just doing this. So we're looking to fill that seat. By the way, if you know of anybody you think you could fit, say like a little accounting degree or something, you know, hey, I'd like you guys to connect us. Okay, 90-day goals. 3 months out, what do we want to do this? 30 million. We did 25 million last quarter. Great job. We just bump it up a little level. That's 30. We want to close 150 units this quarter. We want to qualify 300 units this quarter. Does anyone believe like this is impossible? Going from 25 to 30. I mean, it's a, what is that, a 20% jump? We don't even have the holidays as an excuse. I mean, it's, you know, we're full on here. So I think this is very doable. Closing units 150, qualified 300, quoted 1,800. We predict we will end the quarter with a servicing portfolio of 75 million. Currently it's in the 60s. We predict we will end the quarter with 30 million AUM. And we predict we will end the quarter with 17.5 million of investor capital managed. But those are our 90-day goals. Okay, now for some fun stuff. 3 things I wanted to do this year that are sort of a new take on what we've offered in the past, but also a little bit new. Book club. So in Monday, in the home workspace, we have like 30 or 40 or 50 nonfiction books about personal development, health, all that good stuff. If you take the time to read one of them, and by the way, I make the sales team do this, so you can't repurpose a book that you heard on the sales call. You have to do your own book on your own time. If you read a book on that list, you have to read a nonfiction book that helps you in your personal life or in your career, hopefully a little bit of both. And then you have to present on it for, let's call it 3 minutes in front of everybody on a Monday call. You'll get $100 from me. Cash money. Cash money. And if you cheat with ChatGPT, I'm going to know, and you're going to have to donate 100 to charity of my choice. So you got to actually absorb the content and read the thing. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. If you are brave enough to volunteer, it's 1 a week max. Let Kat know before the Monday call. Be like, I want to go this. It's open. Okay. All right. This one, goals and accountability. So I'm redoing this one a little bit for this year. So I'm in a mastermind where I go in front of people, and you know, it actually costs me money. I spend money to have people hold me accountable for my own goals. And we have our huddle every other week. So basically on my off weeks, I'm going to offer this to you guys. And of course it's free to you guys and anyone can join it. It's basically a huddle. It's going to be Wednesdays after the workday. And it's going to be a goals accountability huddle. It's going to be every other Wednesday, 1 hour. Okay. It is not required. You know, my goal is that it produces enough value for you to want to participate. And then lastly, fitness. This one, I'm going to bring this back. This is going to be probably a Lake Hollingsworth tour, you know, 3.5, 4 mile walk once a week kind of thing. Again, optional. Okay.
Is Fitness Fridays coming back?
I'm thinking it's going to be Monday morning.
Okay.
I'm open on the time of that. I'm not willing to flex on the time of the second, but I'm willing to flex on the time of the third.
Okay.
If more people want to be in, but it's going to start on Monday mornings. So with that being said, these are sign-ups for accountability call and for walks around Lake Hollingsworth. Figure Monday morning early. All right. Do we have questions?
Sign up for fitness runs, so here's shortly.
Let me see if there's any questions. And nothing is off limits. This is literally an open forum. I know that went for a little while, so.
I had a question. If you are a new borrower, does the local experience apply to you too? So are you getting both?
You're getting double whacked.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that is a negative change. but if there's a strong case for it, we'll make a leverage exception to like counteract it. I'm looking closely at that problem. So I don't want to lose good deals because of that.
And lastly, just to ask one more question.
Yeah.
For those columns is that as of today, going through our tapes, updating what we have?
Figure the guidelines are in effect for anything qualified this year. So look at the qualification date. If you have anything clear to close, don't shake it up. Okay. I would say if it's qualified last year, same thing, honor the terms at that time, as long as it closes this month. All right. Any other questions? Anything in the chat? No?
I've got a quick question on how you guys handle ground ups, assuming someone's got, at least one previous ground up. What are your leverages on those types of deals on single family?
So 85 is our max on ground up, loan to cost. And we add the purchase price of the land to the clearing cost, the infrastructure, the architectural, all that, and then the build. We add it all up. We give 85% advance as our max. However, if they have 0 or 1 ground ups, it's going to be a 5% reduction off the max to 80. And then that assumes they're a professional investor. So they have a portfolio of 6 rentals or 6 fix and flips, either or. So if they're like, if they're an experienced investor, a beginner investor, that might back the leverage down to 75 or 77.5. And then if there's like credit issues, then it might be a 65 loan. So we can size up pretty much any deal. The sales team is fantastic at sizing up deals. Plenty of them are on the call. Happy to look at your scenario and give you a quote.
I have a question.
What's up?
So Mara says, can you speak on how new borrowers can learn more about your process directly, HML and DSCR loans, etc.? I came here from a broker, but was not happy on the process.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I would say connect with our sales team, and we will go through kind of all the X's and O's and make sure, especially if you're a new borrower, it can feel overwhelming. Where do I get an operating agreement? How do I file articles with my state? I made this company 2 years ago. I lost my EIN letter from the IRS, right? That's something we want to see. What feeds into our reserves requirement? How do draws work? What's the right type of insurance for my deal? Why is central lending asking me how many windows I'm putting in? You got all these like issues. The more we can understand how each other works up front, the better. And happy to kind of continue that conversation with you offline. Unless there's a very specific question, then I can handle it here as well. All right. Anything else? How about big questions? Anyone on my team want to just give me a content question? Those are good. Staged question.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
How's your viewership on your TikTok going?
I need to go going. We got busy last year, so I had to kind of chill out for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm like getting my regular notifications.
Yeah, you can tell we're slow if I'm live. You can tell we're slow. If I'm live, we're slow. If I'm not live, it's like, all right, we're funneling deals in and let's fulfill what we have. Okay, good stuff. I don't think there's any other questions.
I do have one. This is Jason in the chat.
What's up?
Hey, so we've done deal with you guys previously, got them funded. The quickest one was like 7 days, so we appreciate you for that. Our main focus and what we do in our organization is primarily wholesale. We've had previously a hard money lender or hard money company that we essentially we would tag them on into our packages when we would send them out, to like our investors for the properties that we would are looking to assign. Do you guys maybe have something similar in that fashion, like a link or something like that, which it can use like as a referral or something like that to be able to drive our traffic of investors to you guys? Because we understand exactly how you guys work and we feel super comfortable with, putting you guys out there with our products that we get under contract,
Yeah, thank you for that. So we do work with wholesalers. it's good to understand how the wholesaler works. If we understand who you are, how you operate, we can get comfortable with higher assignment fees because we can get comfortable that you're not, kicking back down payment or doing some of these shenanigans that we see. So, so it's important for the relationship to understand how your deals work, and then of course that you're being ethical by the seller and you're giving our borrower all the disclosures they need. So it's good to know who you are just so that our deals go smooth, and you already spoke to that point. As far as the economics and how the numbers work, we do have the capacity to offer an affiliate relationship with you, or include you on the loan as like a loan broker, but you could be more of a hands-off loan broker. So potentially you could charge a point on your deals. You could charge a point, your borrower could pay 2. And for them to get the deal through you, we would have to qualify your borrower. So we're very willing to work on those unique circumstances and make it work. What I would recommend is set up a call with Jason Borger, who's our director of sales, and I'll join that call as well, and we'll learn more about big picture, what your organization does, and how we can create sort of an affiliate relationship or a brokering relationship.
Sweet, thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else? All right. Well, hopefully you guys found some value in this. We're going to plan on doing it every quarter. Next quarter should go a little bit smoother. I won't have to go through all the values again. We did it once. It's out there. Now we'll have posters and stuff probably, but next quarter it'll be more about content on kind of stuff that we're going through and changes that we're doing, but and maybe more discussion. But to kick off the year for the first time, there was more slides. I think next quarter will be a little bit less slides and more dialogue. But thanks for tuning in, and we appreciate working with all of you.